Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Do I have a story to tell you today? This is a story that I've actually told on my channel before, but it was like 5 years ago when I first started my channel and when I was just putting videos up for the hell of it. And I have put this on private now, so you can't actually see this video and this story time. But I lived in a haunted house. This is a true story. I swear on everything. This genuinely happened, and I want to tell you guys because what better time than spooky season. I've got my spooky ooky nails on and we're gonna do a makeup look, and I'm gonna talk about my haunted house that I lived in because it's actually a really funny story. There was nothing like really scary, it was just like weird and quite funny, so join us if you are interested in that. I don't really do spooky season. I'm not really a Halloween fan. I'm not really a spooky ooky girly. I never do Halloween looks here on my channel, but you know what? It's October. Let's do my haunted house story time. But before we jump into the video, if you have not already, definitely like and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. I upload every single day here on my YouTube channel. I love bright, fun, colourful makeup. I'm going to be doing kind of like a smoky look today, I think. Why not? It's spooky season. This is the only like Halloween thing I think I'm going to do on my channel because, as I said, I'm just not a fan of Halloween, but I want to talk about this today. Also, I have a really bad toothache. Am I a bit swollen on this side? I mentioned a few like months ago that I was having tooth pain and everyone told me to go to my dentist, but I'm terrified of the dentist, so I didn't. I ignored all your advice and now it's back. My toothache and my tooth pain is back. I got a wisdom tooth that's like proper wonky. And I'm scared that I'm gonna have to take it out. Oh, I don't want to. So I'm just living off paracetamol for now and hoping for the best. Where do I start? So I lived in a house. It was a pretty modern house. It wasn't like an old... When I think of like haunted house, I think of like this old, decrepit, like Victorian house in the middle of nowhere. Like it wasn't that. It was just a house on a housing estate. It wasn't particularly old. It was just a house, your average, normal looking house. So that just proves, you know, ghosts can live anywhere. I'm going to use my Adept Minka palette today. This was chosen in my everyday makeup drawer this month and I haven't actually used it yet, but there's some kind of smoky tones in here, so I'm going to go for it. I'm going to see what I can make with this. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't do pinks that often, so I'm a bit stuck, but I'm just going to go for it and hope for the best. So I moved in there when I was quite young. I was still in high school. So I think I was in like year 8 or 9 maybe when I moved in there. And I don't know how old I would have been. Maybe like 14, 15 possibly. And I moved in with my mum and my stepdad. And for the first few years, nothing really happened. There was no issues. It was a normal house. Nothing was going wrong. Everything was absolutely normal as it was. Now, I should say as well, I am not religious or anything like that. I am quite spiritual. Like, I believe in ghosts and I believe in the supernatural. Like, not like werewolves and things, but, you know, I believe in ghosts and I believe that people do kind of look down on you. And I've had a lot of loss and grief in my life, and you know, when like I'm one of those people that like when someone dies, I like name a star after them so that they're like always with me. You know, I'm quite a believer in when you've passed away, you're still kind of here in a way, you know? So I'm always been quite open to the possibility of ghosts. However, I don't think I've ever had an experience before this where I was like, yeah, that's a ghost. So I was still quite naive, quite new to the whole thing. So everything was fine for the first few years, and then when my stepdad left, that's when things started to get a little bit weird. So I don't know if like the male presence in the house was keeping this thing at bay. I don't know, you hear a lot about like a man's presence warding off things. This is all just speculation, like I don't really know, but it was convenient timing that while my stepdad was living with us, nothing happened, and then pretty much as soon as he left, things started to get a little bit odd. So my room, I'm going to set the scene, right? My room, it was like this square room And it had like a little rectangular bit for like the walk in. So you walked in, there's like a little rectangular bit and then like a big rectangle. And there was a floor to ceiling sliding mirror wardrobe right across this one wall, and then a window on the other side. My bed was in the middle. Some of my earliest videos here on YouTube was filmed in that room. I'm pretty sure they're all on private now. But there was just one section of this room. It was one corner of the room that I just didn't like for some reason. It just felt a bit tense. That's the only word I can describe it as. Just like a bit tense. And I just didn't like going in that corner of the room. I had my guitar in that room and I never really learned how to play guitar, and so it was just, that was like the placeholder for that side of the room. I just didn't like it. There was something about it that just didn't sit right with me, and I never really knew why until everything started happening. But I didn't really think too much of it. I thought I was just going a little bit mad, or maybe I was just experiencing something like in my own head, like this mental block, because like it's a corner of a room. You know, it's not that deep, it's not that serious. So I think the first thing that kind of started raising alarm bells was when I was doing my makeup. I mentioned before I had these like floor to ceiling sliding wardrobe mirror doors, and I would sit cross-legged on my floor and I would use these mirror doors to do my makeup every morning, and I often would put my phone next to me with some music on, and I would just listen to some music while I do my makeup, you know, really chill. I'd been doing that for years at this point, and something started turning my volume down. So I would be sat there listening to music, and then suddenly my volume would just go down. And I'd be like, I'm listening to that. And for the longest time, I thought, you know what, maybe it's just my phone. Like, I've never really had, like, the most up-to-date phones. I've always had, like, hand-me-downs from my mum, which I'm, like, absolutely fine with. I'm not a tech girly. I'm not a tech person. But I'm like, yeah, maybe it's just my phone being old. And for the longest time, that's just what I thought. It was my phone being a bit odd, having a little bit of a hissy fit. But then I started to notice that it would only happen in the house. And every time I'd leave the house, my phone was fine. And there was never any issues with my phone when I left the house. It was only in the house that my volume started going down and that things started to go a little bit weird. And the weird thing is, like, I could see, you know, when you turn your volume down on your phone, the little pop-up comes up and it, like, you can see it going down, the volume bar going down. That's what would happen. So it was behaving like someone was pressing the volume button. It wasn't behaving like it was just like sounding in and out. Like someone or something was pressing the volume button and slowly, gradually turning it down. So then I started thinking, well, maybe it's my phone case, like trapping the volume button. But again, it wouldn't really explain why that never happened outside of the house. And I'd noticed that when it happened, like I said, it would kind of go down like bit by bit. When you hold the volume button, it just goes straight down. It was like someone was clicking it and it would slowly, gradually go down. And so that was the first time that I was like, this is a bit odd. This is a bit weird. I don't really like this. So if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, you may know that my way of dealing with things is to either just put it off, just not acknowledge it, or to try and make some comedy out of it. So that's what I kind of started doing. I started talking to the ghost. Like, I didn't actually think it was a ghost at this point. I was thinking like, no, it can't be a ghost. It'll be some tech issues. Like, it will not be a ghost because that's stupid and ridiculous. So I started saying to this thing that I thought at the time was just some, like, tech issue. Every time that it started taking my music volume down, I started saying, like, hey, no, I'm listening to that. Like, please don't do that. Like, rude, okay? Thank you. You don't like my music. That's lovely, but I'm listening to it. And I think that is what helped me a little bit later on in this video, because I actually acknowledged it and I actually spoke to it. And I think whatever it was, I fully believe now that it was a ghost or like some kind of entity. But I fully believe that that is why it kind of left me alone a little bit later on when I get to what happens next. So something that happened that I don't think is paranormal, but it's freaky and I hated it, and I just have to put it in this video, is, oh, the rats. Okay, so when I said, you know, when I said my room was like a rectangle, let's say like this is my room, but there was like a cutout here. So you'd come in here and then it would be like the room. So this bit like doesn't exist. That's the worst possible way of describing that, but you get what I mean. So the entrance was here and then it like opened up like this. So here connected to the bathroom, and the bathroom was like this. That is like the worst possible way of describing it, but I think you know what I mean. There was a little vent next to my bedroom door that connected to underneath the bath of the bathroom. And I'm pretty sure that was just for like ventilation, because obviously the bathroom can get quite, you know, steamy. So I'm pretty sure it was for ventilation, and it was for like making sure mold and stuff doesn't grow. And I'd never really noticed it before, like it was there, but whatever. So I was sat again on my floor doing my makeup with my volume being turned down by some very judgmental ghosts when I saw something in the vent. And bear in mind, you cannot get to this vent. It's like underneath the bath. So you'd have to take the whole bath off to get underneath this vent. I saw something in the corner of my eye, and it was a rat. It was a big, fat, juicy rat. Oh, and I could see the whiskers coming through the vent, and it was there, and I screamed. Like, I didn't think I was scared of rats. Like, one of my friends has pet rats, but there's something different between, like, a pet rat and a wild, juicy, fat old rat in the vent in your bedroom. So I was not a happy bunny at this point. So just to do some spot concealing, I'm going to go in with my NYX Pro Fix Stick. This is one that I've been using a hell of a lot. I'm actually trying to finish this product, and I'm pretty close to finishing it, to be honest. So maybe sometime soon we will have this as an empty. I think someone is stopping me from making this video because, like, I'm feeling really poorly. I'm feeling really sick. I do have kind of chronic nausea anyway, but I've started drinking those probiotic drinks, which have been really helping me in the mornings. But like, a bit TMI, but I like sat on the toilet for like half an hour before filming this video because like like my stomach is not happy today. So maybe someone is being like, don't do it, Caitlin. Don't do it. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna do it anyway. So these fat rats were there in my vent, and I was freaking out. And then they just disappeared. And like, my mum saw these rats. You bet I called my mum at the first thing. I was like, Mum, there's rats in my vent. Like, there's rats in my vent. And she came, she saw them, and then they just disappeared. I don't know if the vent was like connected to like the drain pipe, possibly, and they climbed up through the drain pipe. I don't know. I'm not a rat expert. I don't know if that is maybe what happened, but before we could even get the vent off, they had just gone. I think there was two. I'm pretty sure there was two. There may have been one or two, but I'm pretty sure there was two. And by the time we'd like looked, they'd gone. And my mum saw these rats, so I'm not crazy. So I don't know if that was like paranormal. Probably not. That was probably just like some weird, horrible nature thing. But I wanted to tell you guys about that because that is also a horrible thing that happened in this house. So, the main event. Let's talk about the main event. Oh, this is so embarrassing, but I'm going to tell it because it's so funny. It is so funny. So, at this time, actually, I must have been in college at this time. I must have been in college because this relates to my college boyfriend, and it is the funniest thing. It's the funniest thing. It's so embarrassing, but it's the funniest thing. My mum one day, right, wakes up. It's just me and my mum in the house. And she goes, listen, Caitlin, just to let you know, I heard you last night. And I was like, what? She goes, yeah, like, I heard you last night, and like, it's fine. It's all natural. Like, everyone does it. But like, just so you know, like, I did hear you last night. So like, next time, just be quiet a little. Just be a little bit quieter. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said to my mum, like, what? Like, I don't understand. And she was like, look, there's no need to be embarrassed. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm not mad or anything. Like, everyone does it. Like, don't be embarrassed. But like, you know, be a bit quieter next time. And I was so confused. I was so confused. And I realised what she meant was nighttime solo activities. You can fill in the gaps, okay? So our rooms were connected, right? So here we go. This is my room with the walk-in. My headboard was here. And next door was her room, and her headboard was on the same wall. So she must have thought I was going at it, because that's through a wall. And bear in mind, my wardrobe as well was like in between. It was like a built-in wardrobe in between, like here. So like, through a wardrobe as well. That's pretty impressive. I'm quite impressed with myself, actually. So I was like, yeah, okay. Like, what? You know when you just say, like, yeah, sure, yeah, whatever. I wanted the conversation to be over. It's not really a conversation you want to have with your mum, even if you are doing it, which I wasn't. But I just said, like, yeah, that's fine. Whatever, mum. Sure thing. So then, like, a few days later, she comes over to me again and she was like, look, Caitlin, we've had talks about this. Like, like, I get it. I get it. I was probably like, what, 16 at this point, 17 maybe. Hormones are flying. I'm in my first relationship. So I understand where she was coming from. But she was like, Caitlin, please, we've spoken about this. You need to stop. I was gonna use this, right? Little side note. I was gonna use my Conceal and Hydrate from Revolution. I don't know if it's expired. It's not that old. But every time I've used this recently, it's like gone really dry and like cakey on my skin. So I'm not gonna use that. I was gonna use that. I'm not gonna use that. If anyone has that foundation and they have dry skin, let me know. I'm just a bit confused because it's the Conceal and Hydrate. So, question mark. You know what though? I've absolutely been loving the Uodu foundation recently. This is the Matte Veil. You can get this on CBeautyMall, and I do have a discount code down below for you guys. I've really been enjoying this. This is a really nice, natural coverage, natural kind of luminous-ish finish. I know it says matte veil, but like, I think it's not quite matte. It's not matte, but it's not luminous. It's kind of like in the middle satin, I think. So if you're catfished by this, beware. I'd say it's more satin than matte. But I've really been liking this recently. I think this was rolled into my everyday makeup drawer or 10 uses. I don't know. It's in something. My mum thinks I'm having a great time on my own at night. I can guarantee you I was not, okay? I'm not really, especially back when I was 17, I was not a very sexual person. I, as I said, was in my first relationship. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, really. I don't really know. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I knew what she was referring to, but it was not happening. So I distinctly remember one night, I was fast asleep in bed, okay? And I distinctly remember this because I was so confused. I was fast asleep when my mother comes barging in my room. It must have been like 3 or 4 in the morning. She comes barging in my room and she was like, Caitlin, I swear to God, stop. We've had this conversation. You're so like, you're being so rude now. Think about people in the house. Like, stop. I'm trying to sleep. I've got work in the morning. And I was so confused. I had just been woken up. I was fast asleep, sound asleep in my bed. If you think I'm doing anything at 3 in the morning, absolutely not. Even if the love of my life is next to me, 3 in the morning? No. I like my sleep way too much to be doing that. But she was miffed. She was so angry. And I was so confused. And I tried saying, like, I'm not doing anything. I'm asleep. And she was not having any of it. She was fully convinced that I was having a grand old time with myself at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning or whatever it was. And I was just left stunned. Like, she left the room, and I remember lying there and being like, what the hell is going on? What is going on? Because she's clearly hearing something. And to be honest, at the time, I thought she was going a little bit mad. Because what else could happen? What else could be happening right now? This foundation's definitely a little bit more natural than I usually go for. Normally, I go for like full-on coverage. You can definitely see some of my breakouts peeking through this, so I probably will put a little bit of extra concealer on. But I tell you what, this tooth is hurting so badly. Oh, I'm not going to the dentist though. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. Last time I had this toothache, it just kind of went away. So I'm just hoping that it's going to go away again. Just avoid your problems. You know, avoid your problems. 101. That is life 101 with Caitlin Costello. Just avoid them. It's all right. They'll disappear eventually. You know what I think it is? I think it's just growing up because my gum is a little bit raw as well. I think that's what's happening. I think it's just kind of coming through. So I don't think it's like infected or anything like that. I just think it's poking through a little bit. So I hope we're all good. One of my biggest fears is getting a tooth out. So I'm not doing it. The story continues, right? I spend like a week at my boyfriend's house at the time. And I was not in the house. I was away. I was having a grand old time. I was in like another country. He used to live in Wales. I live in England. Like, I was in a different country. I was nowhere near the house. And I got back from my little jolly holiday, and my mum sat me down and she goes, Caitlin, I have an apology to make. And I was like, oh? What apology do you have to make? And she says, it's not you. I went, what's not me? And she goes, the banging. Like, my headboard is banging at night and it's not you. And I went, well, I'm glad you know that now because I've been trying to tell you that for like weeks. No, I know it's not me. And she goes, well, it happened when you were away. It happened while you were with your boyfriend at your boyfriend's house in a different country. And my headboard started banging. And I was like, that's a bit spooky-ooky. That's a bit spooky-ooky, that. And so that's when I told her about my phone situation, because I'd never actually told her about that, because, like, I would have sounded a bit crazy. I'd have sounded a bit odd, being like, Mum, I think the house is haunted, and the ghosts don't like my music. So this is when I told her about my phone going a little bit weird. And we kind of started putting the dots together. And we finally kind of realised, oh, like, we think we have a haunted house. We think that there is something messing with us. Now, this is where, you know, when I said in the start of this video, I think, you know, when I like interacted with this thing, I think it liked me because I had interacted with it. Even though I'd interacted with it like as a joke, like I wasn't actually thinking I was talking to anything. I was just, I think because I was kind of freaked out by it, I humanized it a little bit. I think that's what I do sometimes. Whenever I'm a bit freaked out, I'll try and make sense of it. So I'll humanize it and I'll like talk almost to myself. But my mum did not do anything like this. And I don't think it liked my mum at all. Today is not a great foundation day. You know what? With this foundation, sometimes it's really good. But sometimes it's just not. I had a really good day with it the other day. And so I thought, you know what, we're having like a good time, but it's looking a bit dry. Oh, okay, what? I'm just gonna soldier through, I think. Keep calm, carry on. Be British about it, you know? You know what, let's use another CBeautyMall classic. This is from Girls Crush. This is the Water Velvet Concealer, and I really do like this. This creates almost like a film over your breakouts and your under eyes, but in a really nice way. There is nothing worse than putting a concealer on and it just doesn't do anything. This one really packs a punch. So I'm going to start just on my breakouts first. I definitely need a bit of help with my acne today. Someone in the comments section, if you're watching this, you've jinxed me. I had a comment the other day and it was like, oh my god, your skin's looking so good since your breakout. And then ever since that, my skin's been like... So whoever said that, it is not your fault. It's not. But no, it's not. So by this time, my mum had got a new partner. And he was spending quite a lot of time in the house and, you know, with my mum and as partners do. And so I think that this person is not the most reliable witness, to be honest, just due to, you know, bits and bobs. But he had mentioned that he had seen something on the hallway. And he didn't know what it was. It was like this figure just standing on the hallway. And he had said that it kind of resembled a little girl. Now, I've never experienced anything like physically seeing an entity. Like, I don't know if I believe that entities present themselves that way. I don't think that entities can be physical. Maybe they can. Maybe he was telling the truth. I don't know. But... he said that he was kind of walking out the bedroom one day and across the hall, he just saw something in the corner of his eye flash across the hallway. And he could have sworn it was this, like, little girl. I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical of that. I don't know. But that's what he says he saw. And I wanted to mention it in this video because it's part of the story, you know? It's part of the story. Technically, he saw it. And I wanted to, you know, be fair. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. So I said to my mum, look, I think the reason that I'm not getting anything like actually scary, because this was starting to genuinely scare my mum because like her bed was rocking in the middle of the night. I said, look, I think the reason why I'm not getting anything like scary like that, like I had my music turned down and I said, I think it's because I'm like acknowledging it and talking to it. And maybe part of the reason why it's targeting you is because you're not acknowledging it and you're pretending it doesn't exist. So why don't you just like start talking to it? It sounds really odd now that I say it out loud, but that was my theory that I was going with. I'm not having a good base day today. But you know what? I'm kind of glad because I was going to bring that foundation on a date with me tomorrow. And I'm glad that I've learned don't do that. I think it'll settle fine. I think it's one of those foundations that like it needs like an hour. You know, it just needs an hour to settle before it looks fine. But right now it's looking a little bit gnarly. But that concealer's gorgeous. I love that concealer so much. So I don't know if my mum talked to it or not, but it was not done with her yet. It was not done with her yet. My poor mum. It was not done. I'm going to use my Essence All About Matte Fixing Powder to do under my eyes. I've seen that they've come out with like a glowy version of this and I really want to try it because I think that would be a really nice product. I just love this powder so much and it's so cheap. So I'm just going to pack this under my eyes. I've really been loving this, I can't lie. I do have very, very dry skin, and so I don't really need that much oil control. I have heard people with oily skin saying that this does not provide much oil control throughout the day, so just beware if you do have oily skin. It's probably not the best powder for you. So, the next thing that the next update is, so you know how my mum's bed was shaking? Apparently her shower started shaking. While she was in the shower started shaking. And so she had to like get out the shower and she freaked out. I don't know if I was home during this because I would have remembered this firsthand. But I remember her talking to me about it and saying that she was absolutely terrified because her shower, while she was in the shower, it's like a stand-up cubicle shower, it started shaking. And the thing that, this is going to sound so awful because like this must have been a horrible experience. But you know in The Sims when they woohoo in the shower and the whole shower shakes? That's just what I have. That's just what I have in my head. That's just the vision I have in my head. This whole shower just like moving up and down and side to side. But, like, that must have been terrifying. That was, like, I think that was the last experience that we had with this entity. We did end up moving out, not because of all of this, but because of other reasons. But we did end up moving out not too long after that. So I'd be really intrigued to see if the new owners have experienced anything. I'm going to go in with my Kind Bronze bronzer. This already has a pan in it, but I'm just working on expanding the pan just a little bit, just because, you know what? Why not? I'm just going to bronze up. I think bronzer is the step of my makeup routine, apart from eyeshadow, obviously, that I like the most, which is something I never thought I would say, but I feel like it just sculpts everything a little bit, and I feel like it just puts everything together a little bit more. Like, I feel a bit more alive when I put bronzer on. So yeah, I always had, even while all these experiences were happening, that one corner of my room was always like a no-go area for me. Like, that never changed throughout my whole time there. It was just a bit odd. And I remember at the time, I think because I was Googling all these ghosty things, I started watching like Hayley Reese. Who remembers Hayley Reese? And Loey Lane and people like that. And I was gonna get like one of those, I think you can get it as an app on your phone where it supposedly says what the ghost is saying. And I would have found that so intriguing, but I know I'm too much of a wuss to do that. Like, if I could go to a place, do that like voice box thing, and then leave, maybe I would have done it, but in my own bedroom, no. No. But it was the weirdest thing because I never felt threatened by this ghost, or whatever it was, whatever we want to call it. I never ever felt threatened by it. I never felt in danger. You know, like some ghost stories, the ghost is clearly like trying to get you out of that house. I don't know. I just got the vibe that it was just like this playful kid. And I feel like weird and crazy telling this story because like some people love ghost stories and some people just think everyone needs to be locked up in an asylum if they've experienced a ghost story. And so a part of me is like, I do sound a little bit crazy right now, but this is my experience. This is what happened in my eyes and in my point of view. I'm sure I had a haunted house. I know that that area was fields and like farmers' fields back in the day. So I don't know, maybe like a kid is like buried there, or I don't know. I live in a very like farmy town. Like everything just used to be farmers' fields. So who knows? Who knows? I would love to know though. I find things like that so intriguing. Like I said before in the intro, I'm not like religious, but I do definitely believe that spirits and entities can stay around a little bit. And I don't know. I think the fact that I never felt threatened by it helped. But my poor mother definitely did. Okay, this blush I've had in my everyday makeup drawer for so long, but today is the day. This is from Girl Cult. This is the Mood blush, and it's kind of like a cream to powder formula. It's something really, really different, but it's kind of like moody. It is the Mood blush, Caitlin, so that's probably why. Okay, this was in my everyday makeup drawer, and then I didn't use it, which was bad, so it had to stay another month. But I always feel really bad using this because the embossing is so cute. But I used to be really scared of this because it is like a cream, and I had it in my head that you cannot use creams on top of powders, and I like to powder my face. But some people in my comment sections were saying that you can use this on top of powder just fine, and you can, as you can see. It looks great. So ever since realising that, I definitely like this a lot more. I feel like it goes with this look. It's kind of like a mulberry, almost dull blush, but in a nice way. So let me know down below, what do you think happened? What do you think was going on in my old house? Whether you believe in things like this or not, let me know, because it would be really, really interesting to hear. I will say as well, my dog, Max, he's not with us anymore, but he did live in that house. I don't remember anything weird happening with Max. Because, like, normally they say that dogs are the first ones to pick up on things like that. But then again, Max he wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. You know, he's very much like Stan, or he was very much like Stan, I should say. Like, I don't think Stan would clock anything. If a ghost was in the house, Stan would not be warning us about it. And Max was very similar. Like, I don't think he would have really realised anything was wrong, to be honest. But that is something that's confused me for a while, because normally they say if anything like that happens, the dog is the first one to know. Bless him. Max, yeah, he wasn't the sharpest. That's all I'll say. Bless him. I'm going to go in with the Pastel Roses Moondust highlighter with a very, very light hand. This is so insanely pigmented. So if you do have one of these products, just be really, really careful. I'm literally just going to do that and tap off the excess. And that will be more than enough to do my cheeks. I used to just use way too much of this. And then it'd get kind of thick. So just be careful. If you have any weird ghost stories, please let me know. It is spooky season. I love hearing other people's ghost stories because, as I said, I do believe, but there are some things people come out with that even I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure that happened? Or are you like a complete skeptic? Do you just not believe anything like that ever happens at all? I would love to know. I just find it so interesting and intriguing. I think there was definitely something there. Like, there had to have been something there. But I don't know, maybe you all think I'm crazy now. Yeah, I'm looking quite dry today, not gonna lie. I look a bit better now that my face has had time to settle. But I am looking quite crusty dusty. And I've done all my skincare the same as I usually would before this video, so I don't know. Yeah, I think my makeup is broken up a little bit where I put that blush. Okay, maybe don't buy that foundation then. Maybe that's a big fat lie. Maybe, yeah, maybe don't do that. It's so weird because sometimes that foundation is beautiful and sometimes it's just not. It depends on the day, I think. Anyway, in other news, now that I've spoken about my spooky ooky story, that all just morphed into a sound then. Yeah, my spooky ooky story. I have got a ram-packed day tomorrow. Oh my gosh, let me talk about that. I have a date in the morning, and you know what? I'm actually really excited about this one. I'm never excited for my dates, ever. But this one I'm actually really, really excited about. I actually quite like him. I know I've never met him, but I will this time tomorrow. I'll be with him. So yeah, I'm seeing him in the morning and then I have a dating event in the afternoon. Oh my gosh, that was not planned, but I'm going to be a busy gal. So I will have a dating update definitely coming live very, very soon. I know you guys absolutely love my dating updates, so stay tuned because there will be one coming. Like, no matter what happens, there will definitely be one coming. My dating events are always very, very eventful. For better or worse, you know, for better or worse. Either way, there'll be some juicy goss for you guys. So, I've not been on a dating event in months. So, yeah, pray for me. Pray for me. I wanted to do a kind of like smoky lip? No, deep lip. Okay, what's going on? I put the shade Vintage Fuchsia from Odens Eye. I wanted something deep but still kind of purple to match the eyes, and this is what I came up with. Here you go. And I put a clear gloss on top as well, so yes! What do you think of this video? As I said, I did this video like years and years and years and years ago and no one watched it. So maybe someone will watch this one. I don't know. But let me know. What do you think happened? Do you think I was being haunted, or do you think there's rational explanations for everything that happened in that house? I don't know. As I said, I've moved since. I'm not in that house. I'm 99% sure this place isn't haunted because I've been here for quite a few years now and nothing's happened. So I'm hoping for the best. Don't forget, if you do have some funny or scary haunting stories, let me know down below. I'm not really a Halloween girl, but like these things do intrigue me. So let me know. Have an incredible day, guys. Like and subscribe, don't forget, and I will see you tomorrow for a brand new video. Bye bye.